kids and her family and his family as well. Like, there was this, father wanted to just was good with just being the protector and the provider, and mom has dreams and whatever, but having kids, not enough time to explore those. But then as a child, you can say, well, I can either become that and model this same example, or I can turn it into something that's going to work out for me. And I think that's what they both did, that channeled the what was being displayed in front of them and turning it around for into something positive or something useful that they can now pass to their children.
Yes.
So as people always saying, like breaking the generational curse, I don't believe it was curse. I think sometimes it was just a lack of access sometimes, especially for families from coming from the West Indies when you're immigrants. A lot of time it is just about not having enough access and exposure to certain things.
Exposure. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So I really do appreciate them, like wanting to, like having a goal and being ambitious about it, and then fueling each other towards that goal. But page 143 reinforces that about letting your passions fuel and motivate each other, and that there is no competition. When I win, we both win, right? And he says, or they say, I don't think it's possible to have happiness in a relationship if one person is dependent on watching the other person become great. What if your partner doesn't succeed? Now what does your partner or spouse have for themselves? It was the duality of chasing my own greatness while also pushing Kadeen to be great that helped us succeed together. And then he says, watching her chase her own greatness while she was pushing me to be great is what really makes us click as a couple. Nothing is more important to either one of us than watching the other one be happy and feel fulfilled with what they're doing in life. And look, you don't need to be as driven as we are in order to be fulfilled in your relationship, but working toward a common goal or two complementary goals is a fantastic way to enhance your bond and learn how to function as a team.
I love that. I love that.
That
The
team
function.
thing.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
I love how
we
they
talked about that earlier,
The
Freddie.
team, honey.
The team
The
and
team.
talking about sex with
I'm
together and all the
the
things.
togetherness.
Yes, the togetherness.
Togetherness.
Together.
Togetherness. I'm sorry.
Is
Is
there
that a
song
song?
in your
No,
heart?
that's not a song right now. Go, keep going.
Is that an actual song though?
It is. It is.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Okay.
It
well,
is.
I'm intrigued.
Would you like to share your song?
No, I
Do
don't.
you sing to your husband?
Oh, I do.
Oh.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
How
oh.
excited she got. Why,
Listen,
yes,
listen.
yes, ma'am, I
You
do.
tell. Share
Listen.
your story.
Listen. So my husband and I. So I met my husband on the dance floor.
Okay.
So he was kind of like, oh, so you can dance? I'm like, brother, are you ready for me to dance?
on,
You know what I'm saying?
Freddie.
And so we met on the dance floor. It was a great time that we had, and we just been together since. But I sing to him often, all the time, and we sing together in the car because everything is together, right? Because we got to go back to that.
love it.
Keep talking about the sex together.
Okay.
Okay, there we are.
All right. Well, then there's that. You heard it here first.
Exclusive.
That's the exclusive on the life of me.
on the life.
Right.
But
That's
listen,
it.
it's actually in
Continue
the
to
book.
make
That's
music.
the book.
Continue to make music
That's
together.
right. That's
Come on,
right.
come on, come on. I love
Harmony.
It.
Yes.
In harmony, yes.
like that.
All the things. I
All
love
those
it.
lovely things.
All the
This is amazing.
important things for recipes for a successful marriage. Like it's important.
Absolutely.
It
It is important. And the thing, and I'll go back to, like some of the themes, communication in the book, that was a resounding thing.
Yes,
Like
that's communication.
how you communicate. And look, there is no one way to communicate. You need to communicate how your partner needs to
Receive it.
hear and receive,
Yeah.
and that's what's important.
Yeah,
There's no one way of dialogue, and they talked about it in the book. It was rarely what was being said. It was more about how it was being said.
It's like they had to change the strategy at each life moment. Yes. So like, okay, now we got to rearrange this game plan because something unexpected happened. Okay, I need to communicate this way because he's now this person or whatever. Okay, the NFL thing didn't work out. Okay, I need to be like this, like just learning how to flow, like you said, like being able to just adjust. And
Look.
I felt like that was a common theme in the book
Yeah,
too.
when conditions change, adjust. And sometimes when conditions change in our lives, we don't give grace for adjustment. So it's like we keep trying to do the same thing the way we've always done it. And, I love in the book that they talked about they didn't have anything negative to say about the models they saw. They just understood that that's not what I want for my marriage.
Yeah.
And how they talked about, well, you talked about it. Well, when he got cut from the NFL, or when he was addicted to prescription drugs, or the things you can't plan for
Right. Right.
in a marriage.
Yeah.
The emotions, there are emotions that you cannot plan for. There are things in a marriage that you don't know how your spouse is going to handle losing a parent.
That's right.
Your husband, he couldn't read that in a book, Mika.
Right.
He couldn't because also our story was unique because his father died when he was 10.
Okay.
So for me going through that, he's like, I don't know what to do because it was just me, my mom, and my sisters.
Right. Right.
You know, but like you said, losing your job or just so many things that happen. So you have these situational changes, but then also we changed because we've been together since we were 18.
Yeah.
And, you know, now we're both 49.
Yeah.
So we're not the same people.
Yeah.
We just have the same name.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Come on, Mika.
You know, so
that.
you have to be willing to adapt and regroup and go back to the drawing board and understand, like you said, not only is each situation unique, but our marriage is unique.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is another couple out there that's like us.
Yeah.
Because all of the different dynamics
Of course.
that make us who we are.
Yes.
I've not seen anything like it. There's something similar,
Sure.
maybe.
Sure.
but it's nothing like it, or the way that we adapt to the different changes that have occurred in our life the past 30 years. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So something you said, Mika, you were talking about like there's nothing like yours, and in the book, I'll share my quote, my favorite one-liner in a moment. But in the book, DeVal also talked about specifically, don't try to emulate. Don't try to. Okay, I'm going to get a striped blue shirt, silver Chanel boots, blue pants, just like Mika, and I'm going to expect the same outcome. Or I'm going to have my sequin on like Hadassah, and I'm going to expect, or my blue blazer, like if I do exactly what Freddie does, I can have the same. No.
Yeah.
Listen.
You can share
even
the
if I like
recipe,
this
but
blue
the sauce
blazer,
won't taste the same.
That's it. The results won't taste the same.
It doesn't. It
And
doesn't.
listen, you shouldn't even desire that. There's not one thing that I see out there that I want exactly.
No.
You know, you got to put your own flavor into it. Make your marriage, your relationship your own, right?
You have to.
All right, so
You
my
have to.
favorite,
Yes, come on,
one line.
give
I
it.
had a couple of
Come
them.
on,
I,
come on,
I,
tell
I,
us
I
now,
spoiled
tell us
this
now.
Because I spoiled it because in the beginning, in the overview, I shared my favorite one line. I'm so
It's
glad I
okay.
put two down here.
It's all right.
All right, so on page 265, and it's actually the last chapter of the book. So my favorite one-liners basically came from the introduction and then the last chapter of the book. And so it's on page 265, and it's simple. And it says, not everyone deserves access to your wildest dreams. So protect yourself and guard your heart. And this is Kadeen talking. And she's just talking to people who desire a relationship, people who are in a relationship. Everyone doesn't deserve a front row seat to your love. So guard that. And I think that with social media, sometimes I look at social media and I'm just like, man, they just really oversharing. Like that's
Yeah,
just
they,
way too
they,
much.
they do overshare. They overshare.
Or, wow, that's an interesting perspective. But again, it's the highlight reel. But everyone doesn't deserve, they just don't deserve a front row seat to every area of your life. And I'm not saying hide the bad. I'm just simply saying don't share in atmospheres that can't help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why share on social media? Not a person on social media gonna
Help
speak
you.
into my marriage
Right.
and tell me to
That
yes
part.
or no or otherwise,
I
right?
believe
And then
that
affecting
100%.
the good thing you have going on by them sharing a perspective that's irrelevant and doesn't quite
Yes.
fit the mold. Like none of that is necessary in my opinion.
Yes. All right. So, okay. Well, do we have any questions out there from social media world? Any comments to share? All right. Well, we'll keep moving. But look, post it in the chat if you want us to, hear your comment. All right. So, advice, ladies. Let's talk advice. What would you give? What advice would you give based on your proven experience in a relationship? So who'd like to go? Freddie, let's start with you. What advice would you give?
On someone that wants to start a relationship, let me
Or
see.
in a relationship?
relationship.
What love advice would you like to give? Or relationship advice?
Date your mate. That means date them. Like, get to know who they are. Get to know their twerks, the things that they like, that they don't like, their family, their friends. See them when they're at work, when they're not at work. Like, really get to know them. And then before you get to the love stage and all of that, really understand if this person that you've met and you have seen all these things, do you want to go that next step with? Is it someone you just want to play around with, or you really want to go that next step with? And if that is it, you guys have that conversation together.
Yeah.
And you make it a union that you're going to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we're here dating, and now we're going to this step. But don't leave each other behind. But you want to take it together.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
I love that. So something you're saying, and it brought me back to a point you made, Mika, about, reintroducing yourself. And so certain situations, so Kadeen talked about it in the book, how after she had children, her body was different. And she said it just like this. She talked about how I had a baby in me, a baby on me, and she just didn't want to be touched. She felt like she was out of touch. Like, I'm over you touching me. And her husband still had a need. And so she talked about how she came up with the red light, green light, yellow light. Like, this is what is okay, as I am expecting our third or fourth child. But they communicated about the conditions changed, and she communicated, look, this is what will work for me in this moment. And he even talked about it when he shared his counter opinion. He said, because I don't experience what she's going through in her body, it was hard for him to empathize for her initially. And then once he saw what happened and what she went through and how she almost died after the first child, he gave grace and said, I will do whatever my wife needs me to do for her to remain in this with me. She almost lost her life, but
Perspective.
but it gave him a different perspective. I love that. So, Hadassah, what advice would you like to give?
Yeah, I think I could give advice to anyone, in a romantic relationship or single. Don't be so timeline driven.
Oh, I love that.
I think, like, especially when you're in a relationship, I feel like you skip a lot of the important factors to consider into being in a healthy, a stable, or successful and happy relationship. Things you should ask yourself: do I know him? Do I know her?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying.
Or what
Deep.
do I
Yeah,
know
gotta keep
about
it for a
them?
long
Like, what do
time,
I
yeah.
really know? Okay, great. He drives a nice car, whatever. Is that enough? He makes good money. Is that enough? Does he have a dream? Is it worth me following?
Come on now, is the dream worth following? Come
Do
on,
I wanna
Hadassah,
follow
you better
that?
say that.
And then I do have a choice. Do I choose this life? And can we build something together? Like,
This
what
is
can
good,
I
honey.
bring together? Like, what can I bring? What can he bring to my life? What can he add? He or she for those, for the males, what can he or she add to my life?
I love it.
Can he manage his finances? Can I manage mine? Like, those are
Right.
things you have to consider, especially
Right.
when you wanted to merge lives together and things like that. Like,
It's a situation merging these lives,
Yes,
honey. I'm
honey,
telling
yes,
you.
it is.
And ask my husband.
and I feel like
And mine.
and I feel like those questions are very important to ask, because even before you say I do, before you say yes to the ring, because it's just my opinion that those things just don't change after marriage or whatever. Sometimes
No.
it can be very much embedded in that person. Like, this is just who I am, and it's like,
Yeah.
can you stick with this or whatnot? Like some people do have a right not to change, and you have to consider who you're with.
Yeah.
So I think those are important things to address.
I love that. And it's funny you say that because, and sometimes we take the negative part of, well, this is just who they are.
Yeah.
We have to think about it. We are raised, we have to take into account the models that we saw growing up, or what they even talked about what you watch on TV as you consider a model for a relationship and things like that. And so
That's good.
you have to be
that's
committed to unlearning.
Yeah.
I mean, because our parents, when we're in their homes and they're feeding us and they're clothing us and taking care of us and showing us what love, when they're teaching us what love looks like or what it does, until you come into your own and have exposure to things outside of that, you may never know what the opportunities are
Correct.
outside of that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know my relationship could look like this.
Right.
Because this is what I know love to be.
Right.
And you have to be willing to, again, it's the unlearning.
Everyone
for me.
loves differently.
like it.
Everyone loves
Everyone
differently.
loves
Everyone
differently.
does love
and
different.
also, people can only love at their level of understanding.
Absolutely, Mika.
So if you grew up in a house and you were taught that love is making sure that I'm paying your bills and that I'm taking care of you,
This
in
is
the
it,
physical
Mika.
sense,
Wait a minute, I
you
turned
feel
around,
loved. You feel loved. But on the other hand, you could have someone that grew up and their economic situation wasn't as desirable, but every single day someone said to them, "You are important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here." That's how they feel loved.
Right, right,
So
right.
when you're bringing two individuals together to create this new thing, you have to figure out, what do you understand love to be?
Yes.
And then
so
together
well
we'll
said.
take our definitions
That's
and
it.
then create our own version of that.
Create
It
our
really
own
goes
version.
back to
yeah.
the love languages.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yes,
Correct.
yes.
Correct.
I love
Correct.
that. I love
Correct.
that.
And love to be. I need to
Yeah.
write that. That was
Yeah.
a very offeringable statement.
Yeah.
I love
Yes,
that.
Mika, I owe you something on that.
I like that, Mika.
You're talking
So,
good. And
yes.
it's that's what people need to know.
Yeah.
And
The
I
good
love
and
what you
bad.
said, the good and the bad. But look, I love what you said, Hadassah, that I have a choice in this.
Yeah.
I
Do
get
I-
to choose.
Yeah.
I get to
Yeah.
choose.
She has
I
a
get to
choice while
choose.
she's single.
That's right.
Well, then there's
That's
that.
right. That's right.
In her singleness.
Bible even says that blessed is the woman the man that you choose. Like
That's
so
it.
even
Come
when
on, bring the
you're,
Bible. That's
you're
it.
getting
Yeah.
for women or whatever. No, there is a blessing in your
here.
choices.
There's a
Right.
blessing in your
So
choices.
you
Come
do,
on,
in a
Hadassah.
sense, you do have
better
a
say
choice.
that.
God, I know you hear
You
me.
better say that.
Come on here.
All right, this is so good. All right, well, listen.
I love it.
This has been a wonderful.
Nice.
Oh, you didn't show your advice.
Oh, you know what?
Mika, you better give me
it's
your
Mika,
advice.
because
And
you
if
give
it's one
excellent
thing-
advice
Look,
already.
One thing I'm
Mika.
gonna do, I'm gonna speak up for myself.
The last piece that you
my
shared.
girls and in my marriage.
I know that's right. Well, look, my apologies, Mika, because you know the last thing you said was such great advice.
I
was
know.
like,
I was like,
okay,
yeah.
maybe that was her point, but yes, Mika,
we
please share your
we aren't finished.
I love her.
Mika, you
It's
better
really
get it.
short. It's really short. I just wanted to say that we need to understand that you can't change people, but there is power in you changing how you react to that person and then hoping that they will then change the behaviors, right? So you can't change the person because, like you said, you chose them. That's who they are. But what they do is something separate.
Yeah, I love that.
And then my second point is just simple mathematics. If you're taking one whole person with another whole person and you're becoming two, there are only two people in that marriage.
Very good.
So don't go and tell your friends and your sister and your bestie and your mama
Come
and
on,
your
Mika.
daddy or his daddy about what's going on in your house. Because there's two people that are in that covenant of marriage, and in order for it to work, you have to keep all of that between you. Because there is a difference between sharing and venting and seeking counsel and advice. And there are paid professionals
Yes.
that are in that capacity.
Come on.
There are people of the cloth, there are people of the faith, there are people that are trained professionals to help you if you really wanted advice.
Yes.
But you should never just vent or talk bad about your partner or your spouse,
absolutely.
because you're going to continue to be with them, you're going to still love them.
Right.
But your friends, your homies, your sister, your bestie,
Side-eyeing.
They're going to be.
it's going to
Giving the
create
side eye and
exactly. And so if this is the person that you say that you love, right? And granted, I'll be transparent. Every day you do not love them, but if you are friends,
Yes,
you will
if you
always
like 'em.
like and respect them. And
Yes.
if you like a person
Come
and
on,
you
Mika.
respect them, you won't throw dirt on their name.
That's
You'll
right.
continue to stand in that space until it comes back to where the butterflies and the roses are growing. But so that's all I
I
have.
love that advice. Well, look, I didn't share my advice, and I'm just going to piggyback on what you said, Mika. So my advice was, and it's from the book, choose each other when life gets hard.
Yes,
And-
please.
And it's to your point, don't choose outside your marriage. And that's not necessarily another person or a love interest, but don't choose your mother's opinion over your spouse's opinion. Don't choose your sister's opinion over your spouse's opinion. Choose each other when life gets hard. And then my last point was, don't allow others to project their idea of love and what a relationship should be on your marriage. Nobody tells me what my marriage should be. Nobody. Nobody outside of my marriage. My husband tells me all the time. He always getting on me about something. But the point is, outside of him, there is no opinion asserted in my marriage.
That's right.
And so don't allow others to project their love stories and love songs and all that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I wish
All
I
right.
could take. I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wish
Go,
I could
go, go.
take credit for this statement. It actually came from Lady Nakia, who made it, and it's just something that's always sticks with me. It's like she was talking about how not adding a third party or fourth party into your marriage or relationship, soliciting the voices of outside, like, or even when it comes to venting, because then you don't leave room for that other person to hear the actual heart behind, like, what it is that upset you. So if I'm going to Marcy and just like divulging everything about what upset me in this hot moment or whatever, then when it comes time to actually addressing the person for the offense or whatever it was, you don't really remember what it was or whatever, and they don't have an opportunity to fix what it was,
Yes.
the wrong that may have been, brought. So it's
True.
just something
That's
I
so
always
true. And
remember.
you utilize the tools that you have at hand.
Yeah,
Like for
absolutely.
me, I'll open my phone and go to that notes app.
Oh my
and I'm
God,
just
I
like,
love those.
But
Yes, Mika.
after it simmers down, you go back and you reread it, and it's like, okay, this was petty. Let me erase this. Or
Yes.
this was just me being emotional. And I always choose loyalty and commitment over emotions.
I love that,
I am
Mika.
very emotional.
That's
So
so
I
good.
know that about me. That's one of my weaknesses. So I know that I will go from 0 to 10 in 2. So in order for me not to do that to my person, I have to write it down and sit with my own thoughts and then reread it again. And if tomorrow I still feel very convicted about whatever that point was, then we need to have a conversation so that we can resolve it.
Yeah. I love that.
love that.
Use your tools. I love that. Well, ladies, this has been amazing. This has been so good. Such a great conversation, and this is a wonderful book. So, listen, if you don't have it, please go out and support this couple. They are doing positive things, and we are champions of love and marriage, and we support healthy relationships. And so please go out and support, buy their book, listen to their podcast, support them. I mean, you can see DeVal on TV if you watch Sisters and Zatima and all of that. So
Zatima, yeah.
look, you can support them. But before we wrap up today, we want to share, again, thank you for giving us your greatest treasure, and that's your time. And so before we go, we'd like to just share that we have several things coming up with A Woman's Voice Matters. We ask that you follow us on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at awvmatters.com. Or AWV, our website is awvm.online, and then we are AWVM Matters on all social media. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube page. And on March 25th, we have a strategy session with Diane Smith, and it's about the audacity of courage. And this is a time where you can get strategies to build your next, to get out of to work on your dreams and your goals. So we ask that you join us for that. It's $25. It is going to be a time, if you've ever heard Diane Smith teach, she is an ambassador for courage and confidence. She is a human resource expert and extraordinaire. So please join us on March 25th. Please follow our social media for the links to register. And then on April 22nd, A Woman's Voice Matters and Trauma to Triumph are hosting a brunch from the heart of a mother. And those details can also be found on our social media. The links are there. we would love for you to join us as stories, are shared from mothers and daughters' life, triumph, and everything in between. So we hope that you will join us. Please, again, follow us. Stay tuned. We have lots of great things happening, and we would love for you to be a part of everything that's happening with us. And so with that, we say thank you, and your voice matters, and we are excited to have you on this journey.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.